諸仏法界無尽尽の空門外大無明欲ぬ世尊読む人の死死人徳無量空軍広大知恵人妙根妙意相神道大仙願が差部在所法波動生じ未不下脱不正上位愛人生じ如是三昧知恵以上の聖徳仏無病死が一切空空一切大安決しうる百千の九万無量大小修行者供養一切死と諸仏無尿愚道検証不逆異尿者諸仏世界無不影無主戦道法行師匠変死諸行如是生じ異人難量量が差仏国土第一五種奇妙道場調整国行内音二無闘争がと愛民道断一切自法来生新年少女移動がこ下落安穏法分信用是が心象本願の日力少々よ自法生存知恵無限上量子孫知が信用下量心死食毒中が行精進人寿不敬ナマンダブナ
Please join me in Gasho. I vow to become a Buddha equal to you, the most honored king of the Dharma, and to bring sentient beings from birth and death to the final attainment and emancipation. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first Sunday service in the month of September. It is still nice to see that the weather so far is still warm and sunny here in the state of Washington. Many of my Washington friends laugh at me when I say this and follow with, "Don't get used to it." Well, just a small update. Cindy and I have finally obtained our Washington driver's licenses, so now we can legally drive as residents in the state of Washington. We have been able to register our personal car, the Scion, to the state of Washington and received the Washington license plates. So now our car is legal in the state as well. And we have also received our voter registration card, so we can now legally vote as residents of Washington. We are still new to the state of Washington, so it may take us some time to feel like, well, Washington people, but I'm certain we will get there. Well, now on to business. The Gosandai, or quote that I shared with you all this morning, comes from the largest sutra of the Buddha of immeasurable life. I also quoted this from this morning when I chanted the Sambutsuge. This quote comes from that particular chant. And I am certain that Reverend Miyaji has already taught on this subject about where the Sambutsuge comes from. But just in case you forgot, it comes from the section where, in the larger sutra, where Bodhisattva Dharmakara meets the Buddha Lokeshvara Raja. Can the kids say that? Can you Dharma School kids say that? Once more, it is Lokeshvara Raja. Anyways, when Dharmakara met Lokeshvara Raja, there was this giant inspiration even some would say like a calling, that Dharmakara vowed to become the Buddha Amida and save all sentient beings from the cycle of birth and death. So how many of you Dharma school students know what you want to become in your lives? What do you want to do? One of the creeds of American culture is that anyone can become anything, right? However, I ask all of you, what is it that you want to do? What inspires you? In fact, who inspires you? Many of you may hold some historical figure in your hearts who inspires you to do great things. I see many of my friends on Facebook who have pictures of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I see faces like Yuri Koyama, Malcolm X, Maya Angelou. In some ways, these figures have inspired many of my friends, including myself, in some way or another. So I ask you now, I ask all of you, who inspires you? My brother, for instance, has a great admiration for film directors. He can pull the names of these famous film directors out of this encyclopedia that he keeps in his head without blinking or consulting his phone. There must be someone who inspires you all. For young kids, those could be superheroes who have amazing abilities that can defeat evil villains. They also have cool superpowers as well, like Thor has lightning that he can command with Mjolnir, his hammer. Well, when it comes to inspiration, some people have asked me, why did I want to become a minister? I was asked this question a lot of times in my life, especially as a Tokudo priest and during my time at IBS. While the answer comes with many reasons, I will say, without trying to sound too fawning, that I was definitely inspired by my uncle, Reverend Dean Koyama. If there is a sensei who speaks most plainly to me, cutting through all of the niceties and diplomacy, it is my uncle. Many of you already are aware that Reverend Dean Koyama is my uncle, and it is one of the first things that is mentioned in my biography on the temple website. When I started thinking about becoming a minister in college, my uncle did not discourage me or try to convince me that I should do some other profession. However, he also was honest about the profession as well. It's political. Inner politics within the church, within the board, within the minister politics. It's not a money-making career either. Yet, he also told me that it is very fulfilling. We are able to make lifelong connections with the people. We continue to learn about our own spiritual path when we meet members who inspire us. We are given the opportunity and the privilege to care for those who look to us for spiritual comfort. No one, in terms of going into the ministry, has been more real, strict, and honest with me than my Uncle Dean. And so I definitely find inspiration in my uncle, and am very proud to continue the Koyama name at the Tacoma Buddhist Temple. And I would be lucky if I were able to be half of the minister that he was here, and that he still is today. He also lectured me about pride and becoming too vain in the ministry, so I better stop this segment of the Dharma talk. But in these historical people, or even people living today, I hope we are all inspired to live a life that goes well with many of their examples. I am partial, of course, to those who fight for social justice. But at the same time, when it comes to the very existence we live in, I can think of no greater inspiration than that of Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha was first inspired by the Buddha Lokeshvara Raja. This inspiration led to 10 kalpas of hard training, birth and death, and austere practices in order for Bodhisattva Dharmakara to become Amida Buddha. Now that Amida Buddha is the Buddha of the Pure Land, no being is abandoned. Wisdom and compassion continues to work for us, for all of us. Now, in the time that we live in, and the weight of our karma keeps us from attaining enlightenment in this lifetime, we cannot do it on our own. How fortunate we are that there is other power, or tariki, that we can ultimately rely upon to bring us to the Pure Land. While we may not be able to attain ultimate enlightenment in this lifetime, I certainly hope we can be inspired by Amida Buddha's non-discrimination in terms of wisdom and compassion. We often drown ourselves in our own egos and put ourselves up on pedestals in terms of thinking we are right about things all the time. Even I am standing on a pedestal right now. However, even for those we despise, those we detest, those we disagree with, even those whom we deem as evil, Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion still work for their benefit too. Again, per my previous talks, this does not mean that I believe that we can or should go out and act like evil people or do things that cause harm to others. If anything, I am asking us to take inspiration in ultimate wisdom and compassion from Amida Buddha. We as mere mortals could never hope to achieve this level of compassion or wisdom in our lifetimes, but that doesn't mean that we can't be inspired to live our lives with a vast appreciation of the Nembutsu in our hearts. So I thank you all for joining me in today's first Sunday service of the month of September. Please continue to stay safe, practice social distancing, wear masks, and wash your hands thoroughly. I look forward to the day I will be able to meet all of you in person at some point and be able to chant together, talk together, eat together, and of course, say the Nembutsu together. So with that in mind, please join me in Gasho and repeat the Nembutsu. Nammanda, snammanda, 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 snammanda. To conclude this Dharma service, I would like to read Renyo Shonin's Matsudai Muchi no Sho, or the letter on the ignorant beings of the final age. In this final age of extreme uncertainty, all unenlightened men and women who single-mindedly and devotedly rely on Amida's 18th vow, no matter how heavy the weight of their evil karma may be, will be assured of deliverance through Amida Buddha. This is the meaning of the 18th vow, which assures spiritual rebirth through the Nembutsu. Once we are convinced of this firmly, we should continuously recite Namo Amida Butsu for the rest of our lives. With reverence, I remain. I would now like to read Matsurai Muchi Sho in Japanese. Matndai muchi no zaike shiju no nanyo taran tomongara wa kokoro hitotsu ni shite Amida Butto fukaku tanomi maerasete sarani yo no kata e kokoro o furazu一心一向にぶったすけたまえともさん主情はたとえ在後は人獣なりとも必ずみだ如来は救いましますべしこれすなわち第18の念仏往生の誓願の心なり核のごとく献上しての上には寝ても覚めても命のあらん限りは称名念仏すべきものなりあなかしこあなかしこ